Tennessee State will find out at Municipal Auditorium tonight. And hi again, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler. Welcome to Nashville. Tonight, the defending tournament champions, Tennessee State, try to keep that crown and earn another trip to the NCAA's big dance. And they've got a tremendous player, two-time Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year in Carlos Rogers. If you've never seen him, he is something special. He's the only player in the country to be in the top 20 in those 4 major categories. Our partner is John Albright. John, Carlos is going to get his, but he needs a lot of help tonight.
Well, if Tennessee State's going to win, it's going to be the backcourt that'll be the story. Perimeter shooting, very, very important. They've got to do a good job of getting some shots to drop from outside to open up the inside area. Also, the guards must do a good job of handling the pressure they'll see from Murray State.
Murray State will give you a ton of pressure. Scott Edgar's a Nolan Richardson disciple, 11 years an assistant with him. They play that same kind of game.
That means 40 minutes of full court pressure. They've got 11 guys that'll play throughout the game. The bad news for Tennessee State is they got the first round bye. Nobody had to play more than 24 minutes last night. They're fresh. Pace, very, very important as this game exits the 70s and 80s. Look for Murray State to return to the NCAA.
Last year, Tennessee State swept the Racers and got in the NCAA. This year, Murray State's won the 2 regular season matchups. They look for another.
What began on a beach in Daytona more than 50 years ago has become America's most popular.
Racing into Nashville, Tennessee. Ohio Valley Conference Championship on the line. Let's meet our starting lineups first. For the Tigers of Tennessee State, Rico Beasley. John talked about outside shooting being a key. He's the top 3-point shooter on this club with Horton, Rogers, Davis, and Johnson. For Frankie Allen in his 3rd season at Tennessee State, he's 4-1 in OVC tournament play. For the Racers of Murray State, the regular season OVC champions, Marcus Brown is a sophomore who is actually the leader of a senior-laden group. Gum, James, Bussell, and Wilson round out the starting lineup. You'll see a lot of different variations from Scott Edgar also in his 3rd season at Murray State, and there's his numbers. So last year it was Tennessee State earning their first trip to the NCAA by taking 2 regular season games from Murray and then winning the title game 82-68. This year Murray hopes they have an answer. They've already won the regular season matchups. Now they try to pull the sweep. And, of course, having only played once instead of having to play 2 games is to their advantage, John.
And that comes into play when we talk about fatigue and particularly the style of play that Murray State likes to use, which is full court pressure. It's important for Tennessee State to get off to a good start and try to keep the lead.
Tennessee State was the number 2 team in the conference. As you see, Murray State this season 15-1 as the regular season champions. To get here, Tennessee State beat Middle Tennessee State 61-60 in a thriller. A 3-pointer at the buzzer won it. They won 91-74 over Tennessee Tech last night. Murray State a 104-86 winner over Morehead State to get to this title match. And we're underway in Music City.
Tigers will start out in a man-to-man. Both these teams like to play primarily man-to-man defensively. We may see some different looks from Tennessee State depending on how the game goes.
Here's Gunn with a penetration, and you'll see a lot of that too. Rogers with the block, his 87th of the year.
6'9", very, very mobile. Excellent timing by Carlos Rogers. Is going to slide over, and Gunn makes the mistake of challenging that one. Never even got it off.
Brown on top will take the jumper off the dribble off glass.
Did you hear back?
I didn't hear him call it, but we'll give it to him.
He'll get the benefit of the doubt.
So the Racers with the opening bucket of the game. And here's the guy that got Tennessee State into the second round, Tim Horton. He's the man that hit the 3-pointer on Thursday night. So let them advance. Rogers with a nice spin.
Beautiful move by Rogers. That's a 6'9" guy handling the basketball in the spin.
And our first collision of the night, and Wilson went down very hard. It looked like on his left elbow or his left wrist.
Rogers with a hard foul, although I think it was just a hard play. I don't think there was anything intentional in terms of trying to hurt Wilson. Rogers just making sure there's no opportunity. Clearly went for the ball. The body took Wilson out. But as you mentioned, Brad, he landed on his back and was not able to break his fall. Rogers clearly gets the ball, and the body is what knocks Wilson off his feet.
Carlos decides he's going to take man ball and backboard with him.
He got a little bit all that time.
Here's Jerry Wilson, the senior from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Spent his first couple of years at Murray State, playing behind the great one, Popeye Jones, who's now a starter for the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA. Free throws not his forte, as you saw, and he rattled them both out of there.
Tennessee State would like to keep this game in the half court, and that means Rogers is the primary focus inside for their offensive thrust.
Horton a little short on the jumper. The rebound comes off the gun, and he'll push it in. Cedric doesn't get it. Bustle got the rebound and stepped out of bounds.
It looked like Bustle had some help going out of bounds, but doesn't go that way. A few Racer fans might tend to agree. But very important for Murray State to get the baskets, because that's what allows them to get into their full court defensive pressure.
First time tonight. Davis touches it. The outside jumper, Jeff Johnson.
Good look for the big guy, and again, the longer they can be effective from the outside, that'll loosen up the defensive help on Rogers inside.
Wilson up through the foul. Johnson, who just had the basket, picks up the personal on the other end.
We talk about Tennessee State. Very, very important, I think, for them to get into the lead early, because fatigue really is magnified when you're playing from behind. This is their third game in 3 days. Murray State, as we mentioned, they had an easy one last night. Nobody played more than 24 minutes. And for Frankie Allen, fatigue's going to set in quicker on his team if they're playing from behind against Scotty Edgar's club.
So far, Jerry Wilson shooting a negative hat trick here. He's 0 for 3.
Negative hat trick.
He got the fourth one finally. And Gum has been all over Horton, all the way up court. Tough feed into Rogers. Triple team will kick it back out. And they pack it right back into it. Kind of a running half hook. Through the foul, missed the shot.
James will pick up the foul inside. Rogers has got to realize when he gets that double and triple team, if he'll kick it out very quickly, somebody's going to have an open shot. Oh, when the defense goes out and expands, they can dish it back in. He has a tendency to hold on and take too long to make a decision, but he is extremely talented once he gets the basketball if there's no help around.
Carlos, first trip to the free throw line. Scott Edgar's third season after those 11 years with Nolan Richardson. And look at the numbers. Top 20 in points, field goal percentage, block shots. Free throw shooting not in there, but he got them both.
Versatility.
6-3. Tennessee State with a lead. Wilson all alone inside.
Too easy that time. Defense relaxed. Wide open pass inside. Easy two.
Have a hard time looking at that scoreboard and seeing Tennessee State as the guests, as we are in their backyard, basically.
Yes, I don't think this would qualify as a totally neutral floor.
Rogers inside. Johnson's going to have to get it back out. Rogers over James, too strong. Marcus Brown comes out of the pile with a rebound. And a walk before what would have been a foul.
Maybe one too many passes that time. Murray State had a good look at it. Instead, the extra pass across the lane and the turnover results. But now they have an opportunity to get into their full court pressure. 1-2-1-1 full court press.
You see the trap in the backcourt. As John said, this doesn't have a big effect on you maybe the first 10 minutes of the ballgame, but you get down to the last 10 minutes and your tongue's hanging out.
Particularly when you go 11 deep and you got a lot of fresh legs, you can run at a team.
Rogers makes the move baseline.
No help that time. Rogers is too tough man-to-man. They're not going to be able to stop him with just one man.
8-5 Tigers. Gone for three. Trying to tie it up. Got the roll. Eight apiece. 4 minutes into the action in Nashville.
Want to get it to the middle of the floor against this kind of pressure.
Kicked away.
Probably running down the sides in Scott Edgar's club. Once you kill your dribble, you're trapped on the side. Then you got 2 players that are sandwiching you. The other thing, ideally, once you beat it, put some pressure on. Try to get some easy buckets. If you get some easy baskets out of the break, then the defense is not as apt to be as aggressive.
Horton had a notion for a 3. He'll take the 2-pointer instead. Rogers, an easy rebound just by positioning. And Rogers off to an excellent start. Carlos with 8. His team up 10-8. Marcus Brown, a flyer. And Johnson will clear it off.
That's excellent defense by Gum. He's just shadowing Horton wherever he goes.
Sort of sticks to you like that's Gum, doesn't he?
Okay, you get the first one of the night.
Championship week's going to be long before it's over.
It's a lot of fun, though, this week.
Rogers, Johnson trying to go up and stick it back. And the Racers will push it. Here's Cedric for 3. Curtis Davis pulls off the weak side rebound. 15 minutes remaining first half. 10-8. Tennessee State leading Murray State. Would have been a tough catch inside. Ball out of bounds with 14:51 to go first half, and the Tigers leading the Racers by 2. Will be the Northeast Conference Championship. Ryder and Monmouth at noon tomorrow, right here on ESPN. Tennessee State, the club that had to win 2 to get to this championship game with a 2 and now a 4-point lead as Rogers already in double figures with 10.
They're going to have to get some help. When he makes that spin move and there's nobody weak side to help out, he has just been devastating early in the game.
Tennessee Tech did a better job against him last night with their big men than Murray State has done so far tonight. Here's Teague, who just checked into the lineup, and Antoine nails one off the glass.
Teague at 6'10", a little more height inside.
Horde knocked it out of bounds. Horde in off the bench for Murray State. And as we said, we'll see as many as 11 or 12 players tonight from them.
The pace is much more to Tennessee State's liking. It has not been up and down.
Horton, nice baseline drive, couldn't finish it, and a foul underneath. Going to go on Horde.
Murray State has not been able to get in their full court pressure, get some steals, get in their transition game. They say their defense gets their offense started, and right now the defense has not been able to get on track.
Rogers plays a little one-on-one with Teague.
So you also have to give Rogers a lot of credit what he's doing at the offensive end.
Catch by Gurnell, who's checked in. Royce Gurnell. 15 on the shot clock.
Murray State's extended their man-to-man.
Double team, that leaves Beasley open for 3. Weak side. Oh, an easy one blown by Davis. Curtis like to pull that baby back and try it a little bit softer. Jones, 3. That one comes off, and Davis will get the rebound.
Murray State was cold last night in the first half from three-point range. 0 for 6. They were 8 of 13 in the second half.
Tennessee State with a turnover. Horde, if it goes, chance for a 3-point play.
Brad, that's a great example of why, as an offensive player, always finish the play, even if you have very little opportunity to make it. Horde just threw that ball up there to try to ensure that he was going to get 2 fouls. Well, he got a fortunate break, but now instead of just the 2, he'll get the 3-point opportunity. Too many times players quit and don't follow through with that shot.
William Moore checks in for Murray State as Antoine Horde goes to the free throw line to try to cap off A three-point play. And does.
That's actually a 5-point turnaround. Davis misses the easy one at the other end. As a result, they get in the transition and get a 3-point play. Now they get the turnover.
Tennessee State back-to-back turnovers. And Frankie Allen saying, come on, let's use our heads a little bit.
Well, that last pass is why coaches either lose hair or turns gray prematurely.
I had a decent play on that ball, but I was the only guy in the building that did.
Unfortunately, you're not in the blue uniform.
That's right. Horn walked before he put the move on Rogers. David Page is going to check in for Tennessee State as they go to their bench. Curtis Davis gets a rest.
Interesting. Tennessee State, they get about 85% of their offense from their starting five, whereas Murray State only about 52%.
Not too many turnovers early by either team. Rogers, nice lead, tried to, a good thought. Johnson didn't pick up on it. It's a turnover, and Moore will pull up for the jumper.
Got to get it to the middle again. Goes down the baseline, and you ask for the trap when you kill your dribble.
Boston College. UConn wrapped up a brilliant Big East season today with a win over St. John's. 16 wins in conference play. Kenneth Taylor checks in, and at the free throw line, David Page, the freshman. (15-13). Stretch it back out to 3 and does. Cut it to 1, excuse me. 15-14. Way outside, the 3 goes.
Morris come off the bench quickly and hit 2 quick threes.
William Moore. .11:52 to go first half. 18-14 Murray State. Out of here, it's 18-14. 11:52 to go as Murray State's gone on a 10-2 run to erase a 4-point deficit and pick up a lead of their own. Now we're back to a 2-point ball game. Jeff Johnson, good position underneath.
Tennessee State now going to show a little matchup zone.
Jones around a pick. Got a good look. Rebound Davis.
I think this zone's a good idea, not only to give Murray State a different look, but to help you with the fatigue factor.
Marcus Jones almost had the steal, but stepped on the sideline.
So you can tell a team is defensive oriented when after every dead break, the players are wiping the stuff off the bottom of their feet. Every single time these Murray State guys are getting those shoes cleaned off.
Getting ready for the next trip down court. Beasley works for a baseline jumper. Teague in the right place to pull down the rebound. Here's Moore, has done well off the bench. Both teams have gone a little bit cold. Almost the midway point first half. 18-16, Murray State by 2.
This pace would put us in a low to mid-70s kind of game. That's a pace that Tennessee State is capable of winning at, I believe.
Murray State's a team that normally gets up in the 90s. They've had several games over 100. Davis goes down hard, drew the foul.
Good drive by Davis. The challenge, the block. Davis takes his seat, but Rogers will get a couple of free throws.
William Moore picks up the foul. Carlos goes back to the free throw line. You'll see him talk to himself on free throws. I asked him about that before the game. And he said, it's something my mom told me a long time ago. And he said it's kind of personal, but basically it's a name it and claim it type of reference. And I said, well, so far you're claiming them tonight. 3 for 3 for Carlos from the free throw line.
Well, the talking to yourself is okay. It's the answering yourself that creates the problem.
Then you've been hearing bouncing balls too many times.
Then you get a special trip out of the arena.
He's perfect from the free throw line, and we are tied at 18.
In the zone, I think it's a good move by Frankie Allen. It allows his guys to get a little bit of a break in terms of the energy they're having to expending, and they're also forcing Murray State to hit it from the outside.
And Jones walks with it. So Marcus with a couple of turnovers. And we are at the midway point of the first half. Brad Nessler, John Albright with you. Ohio Valley Conference Championship on the line here in Nashville. The winner to the NCAA Tournament. Tennessee State went a year ago, their first trip ever. Horton can't get it. Rogers had it stripped by Taylor. And then he's fouled by Tim Horton.
Probably not a bad foul by Horton because Murray State had the numbers at the other end. He gambled, but he also makes sure if he didn't come up with it, go ahead and commit the foul so the break's not allowed to start.
Moore and Taylor will sit, and Brown and Gum, the starting backcourt, check back in for the Racers. Marcus inbounds right in front of us with 9:40 to go first half. Jones almost walked again. A little bit too much indecision on his move. Pack it into Wilson, and he's fouled from behind by Jeff Johnson. And picks up his second.
Jeff Johnson picking up the foul. Scott Edgar said he really recruited Johnson very aggressively. Really thought he would have fit in wonderfully into his program. Johnson committing the foul. But unfortunately for Scott Edgar, he liked that darker shade of blue and wanted to stay home in Nashville.
And he'll sit with the fouls. Gurnell comes in to take his spot.
2-3 matchup zone. Tennessee State playing defensively.
Gave up a wide open three-point attempt. Jones drives and scores.
Beautiful penetration by Marcus Jones. Just split the defenders.
Murray State again by 2. Carlos Rogers got away. And away he goes.
A little emphasis there by Mr. Rogers.
14 for Carlos. He had 17 in the first half last night and finished with 31. Horton blocks it. Beasley got it ahead to Horton for the easy.
Somebody forgot to tell Tennessee State they're supposed to have fatigue. They're supposed to be tired.
And now they've got their fans into it. Brown off the dribble. Tough shot. Marcus has 4. We're tied at 22.
Good job by Horton. Going to slow it down. Trying to get their half-court offense involved.
Takes it right around a pick by Rogers and nails a 3. Neither of these teams shy about shooting. Davis with a rebound off the miss. And Tennessee State with a 3-point lead. As we seesawed back and forth, both clubs have had 4-point leads at one time or another here in the first half.
Well, again, as Horton and Beasley are able to hit the perimeter shots, that'll draw the defense out. They won't be able to help doubling down on Rogers inside. We've already seen what he does when he only has single man-to-man coverage.
7 on the shot clock. Horton looking for a pick. He's going to have to hurry now. Over Gum. Got it!
Big-time shot.
Discrepancy as to whether it's a 2 or a 3. And they're going to say it's a 2. Les Jones, I think one of our officials originally thought it was a 3. And Steve Pyatt, I think, is the guy that overruled it. A 2-pointer and a 5-point lead. Here, the biggest lead of the ball game could have been even bigger had this been ruled a 3-pointer. But as you see, Tim Horton go up. His foot is right on the line. It's kind of confusing, John McGee. All kinds of lines out on the floor.
The yellow line is the collegiate line. That is the correct one. That's 19-9. We've also got one in between the collegiate and the NBA 3-point area. But good call by the official. Yep. The correct one.
Approaching the 7-minute mark. 27-22. Tennessee State. Nice dish. Wilson all alone. Marcus Brown with a good look. And again, the pressure following the basket. And it's got Davis in trouble, and he threw it away. If Young can run it down. Wilson again inside. Up strong.
All right, the Racers starting to get into their pace now. As a travel, that's the second time Davis has killed his dribble as soon as he's crossed midcourt on the sideline. Got to get it to the middle of the floor. You're inviting the natural trap if you kill it on the side. There's the problem. He's going to go right over half court and immediately have trouble with it, and he travels.
So much for the 5-point lead. Down to 1. Turnovers even at 6.
But only 6. That's acceptable for Tennessee State. That's not a bad number against a press-oriented team like Murray State.
Brown. I can see why they like him so much. 6'3" sophomore. Only played about 13 minutes last night. He's been nursing an arch injury. And Scott Edgar said after the game, I didn't play him a lot because I wanted to save him for the championship game, and save him he has, and he comes up with a steal. Moore, 3. Gum will keep it alive.
3 straight turnovers by Tennessee State.
Here's James on the baseline, and Davis with some frustration off that rebound.
Well, the other thing, when you're playing against a pressing team, you got to have the people you need to handle the press break. When you get people that aren't supposed to be handling the basketball, that's when your problems are magnified.
Here's a guy to get it to.
It's a high percentage play.
It really is. 16 for Carlos Rogers. 29-28. Tennessee State by a point. Still by a point. Loose ball saved. A tough job by Gurnell to dig that one off the baseline. Horton flies up himself and scores.
That's a beautiful adjustment in midair by Horton on a tough shot.
Folks at Tennessee State telling us that Horton's had to sacrifice some of his offense to be the point guard this year. He's not a true point guard, and at about 13 points a game, putting on a show tonight here in the first half. And again, he's the guy that got him just to the second round to get him out of the quarterfinals. He hit a stunning 3-pointer at the buzzer to beat Middle Tennessee State on Thursday.
Well, most teams that win a tournament championship, you got to win one game that could easily go against you.
Wilson blocked Gurnell. 3-on-1. Marcus Brown the finish. Chance for a 3-point play. Foul on Curtis Davis.
Transition, we've talked about it all night long. Beautiful pass by Gum. Davis didn't commit himself. He reached over instead of deciding either commit the foul or back off completely. Got caught in the middle. Silly foul.
Johnson comes back in. He's been sitting with a couple of fouls for Tennessee State. Marcus Brown to the free throw line. 7 seniors on this Murray State Racer team. And anybody that asks you who's the leader on the group, they say the sophomore right here out of West Memphis, Arkansas.
Well, Murray State's got both banks of the Mississippi covered. Marcus Brown from West Memphis and Marcus Jones from Memphis.
How'd those guys get away from your alma mater anyway?
Larry Vance can't keep them all. That's right true. There in town. He tries. Does a good job, but can't keep them all. I'll tell you, Scott Edgar is the guy that really started that exodus when he was at Arkansas, getting the talent to go west. He broke the barrier.
Nolan Richardson's been able to do that from Fairleigh High School with so many players as well, so that helps. Moore outside, a three. 33-31 Racers. Couple of threes for Moore off the bench.
And going to the side in the baseline.
That was a tough shot, a double team that Rico Beasley shot through. And we're dead even at 33 with 3:20 to go first half.
Brett, I think it's crucial that Tennessee State does not fall behind again because of that fatigue factor we keep talking about. You sense the momentum is clearly shifting, and the Murray State's ready to go on a big run. Just crucial the Tigers can keep it close.
Three-pointer as Damon Page squared up, took the pass from Rogers and buried it for a 3-point CSU lead. And Johnson the board.
Because in the last 6 minutes, the pace of this game has clearly shifted. Now we're on an 80 or above pace, and that's a pace that Murray State's liking.
We were in traffic driving there for a while. Now we're on the freeway, and the pedal is a little bit farther down.
Fifth gear.
Rogers, tough catch. Boy, he's something. 18 for Carlos, first half.
He's held his end of the bargain up very well tonight.
We said to start the game, he's going to get his. I don't know that they expected him to have 18 at halftime, though. So, equaling their biggest lead, Tennessee State up 5.
Frankie is just all over the place in the sidelines. He is really imploring his troops to pick it up at the defensive end.
Teague, tough catch in low, around traffic. They're going to call a walk. That looked like a pretty good move, but he moved his pivot feet apparently, and that's a Murray State turnover, something they can ill afford as they trail by 5 with 2:07 to go first half.
Here come those hits.
That's all from Aspen, Colorado. If they can keep Alberto out of the chalets tonight, I'm sure he'll be a factor sometime tomorrow. Keep him out of the hot tubs, too, while they're at it.
Extracurricular activities.
Horton gets around Teague. Tip. Won't go from Johnson, but Horton keeps it alive.
Page is down. He got hit right in the mouth.
Damon got one in the kisser.
Officials quickly stopping play because Tennessee State had the basketball and we're not trying to make any kind of move.
Damon making sure he's got everything where it's supposed to be as we get another look.
Gets hit
oh,
right.
That's a headbutt.
Ouch.
Yeah. Let's see. Are all the teeth there? That hurts. Trainers will come out to have a look. And he's going to sit and probably rest the remaining 152 of the first half. That'll make your eyes tear to the point where you don't do your team much good out there. Damon will sit out. And Curtis Davis comes in to take his spot in the lineup. Coming up in a minute, 52 seconds at halftime. The Reebok Report and with Carolina Duke highlights, top 25, championship week updates, and a lot more. Stick around.
Offense has been the story in the first half. Both these teams shooting extremely well. Tennessee State shooting 60% from the floor. Murray State at 48%.
Davis the miss. Brown got the rebound ahead to Jones, and he drew the foul from Horton. Marcus Jones will step up. This is the guy that Scott Edgar says the country will see tonight on ESPN, that he's the best sixth man in the country.
He certainly proved that in last night's semifinals. 25 points in 21 minutes of play.
Became eligible January 7th, and he has been a tremendous help. 32 points in the first 2 meetings regular season, so an average of 16 a game off the bench for Murray State. 3 points tonight.
All coaches love somebody that can come off the bench and give them a jump start. That's exactly what he does for Scott Edgar's club. And quickly again, Murray State in full court press.
Almost paid off. Neil Jones has just checked in. Davis has been the guy that's gotten in trouble a couple of times getting trapped, and he got rid of it that time. Just over a minute to go, first half. 38-35. Tigers, Tennessee State. Step on the baseline. Curtis is not going to like his turnover numbers in the halftime stats.
Neither is that man.
That's right. And we are down final minute.
Frankie Allen has used this 2-3 matchup zone very effectively throughout the last half of the first 20 minutes.
Jones off the dribble. Got the roll.
Good job. Got it to the middle of the floor. That's how you want to break that press. Good decision that time by Neil Jones. Get it to your big man, then go get it back.
Final 20 seconds. Beasley drives instead of taking the jumper. Rogers the rebound and got it in. 20 for Rogers first half. And their halftime lead will be 3, it appears, as there's a scramble for the ball, and that's the way it is at intermission. Frankie Allen's Tennessee State Tigers trying to pull off the upset. So far, they've done a good job through 20 minutes. Here in Nashville, Ohio Valley Conference Championship, Tennessee State, the defending champs, up by 3. Brad Nessler, John Albright back with us. You know, you talked before the game about Tennessee State having to get the lead and then worrying about the fatigue later. Well, they haven't looked fatigued and they've got the lead.
Yeah, somebody forgot to tell Frankie Allen's club they're supposed to be tired. They played very well. Both teams shooting the lights out. Rebounding, Tennessee State's got the advantage. Turnovers that really didn't become a factor until the last 5 minutes, 6 minutes of the first half. 3-point shooting, not a big factor either way for either one of the teams in the first 20 minutes.
Carlos Rogers led all scorers in the first half. 20 points to go with his 7 rebounds. He's been everything we expected and then some. And 20 minutes left to find out who goes to the NCAA tournament. There's been some speculation. Would Murray State get in even if they didn't win this title? They are 23-4. But you don't want to count on that because this conference is not a great track record of sending anybody except the team that wins the tournament.
And I think it puts them clearly on the bubble if they don't win and get in.
Jeff Johnson with a stick back on the miss by Rogers, and it's a 5-point Tiger lead.
Got to stay in that zone.
Well, he'll shoot him out of it maybe. Marcus only 6 at halftime, but a 3-pointer to start this half.
Interesting, in the first half, Murray State had 7 steals, only 1 steal for Tennessee State, so their press was effective.
Beasley may have rushed that one a little bit, and Gum will come back the other way for the Racers. He'll try the other side. That one's short. Shagged down his own rebound on the baseline. Well, it's the Marcus Jones show so far, second half. 5 for Marcus.
That's just great hustle. He just outworked everybody for Tennessee State to get the basketball.
And with the opening 5 points of the half, he has made it a tie game at 42.
What you got to worry about when you play against Murray State is the big runs. They're capable of putting that 10-12 nothing spurt on you. Again, going in the dead corner, that's not where you want to take it.
Barely got it out of there and have to hustle to get it across the timeline. Now Rogers and Johnson play a little 2-on-1. Johnson airballed the shot. And Rogers has it stripped by Gum. No way that should have ended up with that result with a 2-on-1 with the 2 biggest guys on the floor. Let's try Marcus again. Got it!
You got to be very careful now if you're Frankie Allen, Brad, because the momentum has clearly gone the other way. You don't want to get in a situation where you're 8-10 down quickly.
Rogers inside. That'll quiet things a little bit.
The other thing you got to start thinking about is is when do you get out of the zone? This is primarily a man-to-man defensive-oriented team, and the zone has been effective in spurts. That's face guarding.
As you see, Rogers with 22, and the rest of his team has equaled that, and Marcus Jones has warmed things up to be in double figures.
Now Carlos's shoulders might be a little sore after this game. He's got a while to rest up.
Carrying the rest of the Tigers along with him, but he has done that all year long. Two-time OVC Player of the Year, and won his second straight honor this past Wednesday. Was named as the top player in the league.
Really credits last summer in his World University Games experiences, really telling him that he belonged with the better players in the nation. Horton did not have control of it, so no turnover can result.
Jones played for the steal. Tigers moving around the perimeter nicely, but Beasley can't cap off the lone jumper. James gets it ahead. Marcus leaves it for Wilson. Murray State, another steal. Jones leans in. They're going to call an offensive foul on Marcus Jones. Laid his shoulder in and then tried to fade away, and it backfired on him. Here's the trap in the backcourt again. Horton, dangerous pass. Rogers went up for it, and Brown picks up the foul. And Marcus pleading his case to his own head coach.
Well, Scott Edgar's hair is starting to grow back. He made the statement to his team if they won 5 in a row that he would allow them to shave his head. I happened to be at the game, Memphis State and Murray State. When
you said they didn't waste any time, right?
That's right. Off it went immediately. He tried to counter that he meant OVC games, the players would have none of it. But he also said at 22 and 4, he might consider the closely cropped look for good.
If it works, it might be the new look. Marcus Jones a little frustrated, having been called for an offensive foul on the other end, trying to hustle to save that ball and ending up in really pretty good seats. Third row. Let's see. It's a triple jump sort of thing. There's one, there's two, and then you jump the chair. Oh.
I think about 4.2 seconds. I think it puts him in first place.
And the style points, we give him mostly 6s. Davis squares for 3. Too hard. But Brown threw it right into the waiting hands of Gurnell. Now Beasley. Inside is Davis. Finally, third time goes in for the Tigers. That makes it a 1-point game.
Tigers continuing to stay in that 2-3 matchup zone.
Gum finally takes a three-pointer, his first attempt tonight, and Horton pulls off the carry. 4 minutes into the second half, 47-46 Murray State. Horton working on Jones, takes it all the way himself.
That's just a great individual move by Tim Horton. Waited until just the right moment, then it's going to go right around Jones. He's got the elevation at 6'1". Horton is strong enough to go inside. He's got the great bounce. That's a nice move by the junior. Get a good look at it. He's going to get the step on Jones and then is able to elevate inside.
Tim out of Northport, Alabama, can't finish off the three-point play. Brown, and he drew a foul and scored it.
What a difference about 10 seconds makes is Horton with the scowl this time. Nice move by Brown. Crossover dribble. Gets the pick in the midstream. Horton reaching out.
That's 3 on Tim Horton, and Tennessee State can ill afford to lose him to foul trouble in this game.
Because he's been the only other guy besides Rogers that's given him any kind of consistent offensive punch.
Marcus Brown caps off the three-point play and gives his team a 2-point lead with 15:44 to go. Offside. 50-48 here. 15:44 to go in the ball game. Ohio Valley Conference Championship. John Albright and Brad Nessler along with you from Nashville. Music City Madness, they call this one. The winner advances as we continue our championship week on ESPN. Nice feed in low to Rogers.
That's a good look that time by Tennessee State. Go ahead and get the big guy involved again. He's been quiet here first 5 minutes in the second half.
15:20 to go. We're almost where we started. Dead even. 50 apiece. Jones leads it down to Horton on the baseline, who waits for the proper time. And Antoine, his first basket of the second half. Boy, Horton has had to do the work tonight, hasn't he?
Good job by Horton, though. He didn't kill his dribble when he thought he was going to get the double team. Kept it alive, able to dribble out of it.
They collapse down on Carlos Rogers every time he touches it. He's got 3 white jerseys around him. Right now, Teague playing him. In a battle of 6'11 guys inside. Scotson says, well, you're going to leave me alone. I'll try it. Rebound comes off to Marcus Jones. The head. Gum feeds the baseline. Tough catch down low and stripped away from Horton.
Last trip down court, Tennessee State very sluggish on offense. They look a little tired. Not a lot of movement.
Horton moves it enough to score it.
That good individual move by Horton. Everybody else kind of standing around waiting for something to happen. Horton fortunately delivers and get a chance for the three-point play. He's tired, though. He's leaning over, grabbing those shorts.
Tim Horton steps up for Tennessee State. They've been a member only since '88 and won championship. That was last year. The team they beat, Murray State. The team right now that they lead is Murray State, 53-52. Marcus Jones changes hands in the lane. Nice no-look pass underneath. They can't seem to pay it off. Horde missed in close. Good looking pass. No basket out of it.
With the exception of Horton, Tennessee State very hesitant to attack this press.
Going to have to hustle, and they just get it across in time. And now have only 20 seconds to work with. They don't need more than about 1 more second. Carlos Rogers, 26 points. I think you get the idea why he's 2-time OVC Player of the Year. And there's a three-pointer by Marcus Brown on the other end.
That's one way. Just back up beyond where the defense will come out and get you.
55-55. Jump stop in the paint and a foul. Beasley went up and Brown got it. Moore and Wilson will come in. Horde goes out. Murray State, one of the inaugural members of this conference, their tournament record, and this for them another trip to the championship game. 5th straight OVC title game. They've won 13 Ohio Valley Conference championships overall, 6 in the last 7 years.
Murray State coming in winning 18 of their last 19 games. Frankie Allen trying to stop a 10-game consecutive winning streak. Only Austin P, their only loss in conference play. Dave Luce's Austin P club, the only loss.
13 to go, tied at 55. Moore was instant offense in the first half. Thought about a three-pointer there. Gum squares, got a good look. And Curtis Davis, the rebound. Curtis didn't score in the first half, but he had 6 rebounds. Horton, one busy point guard tonight. He has handled it extremely well. That's the guy to go to. Rogers losing his balance a little on the baseline, and now backs on Teague, wheels and deals, and got it.
When Murray State is not able to give him defensive help, he's been trouble. They have not been able to corral him with just one defender.
The Tigers lead the Racers by 2. Murray State in the white, the regular season champs, and having all kinds of trouble with the defending tournament champs from Tennessee State here in Nashville. We're down at 12 on the shot clock. Inside they go to Teague. He drew a foul. Wait a minute. Is the basket good?
Can't be. Had to be before.
Foul inside will be on Jeff Johnson. He's checking to make sure he's got everything he's supposed to have in that lower jaw, but no basket. Foul was before the shot. And the free throws will come after the break. Timeout, 11:49 to go. 57-55 Tennessee State. I thought they were going to be playing that one tomorrow morning. Monty Wilson on the end of the Tennessee State bench, a preseason All-OVC performer. A hand injury sidelined him after the first couple of games of the year. Tough loss, and Frankie Allen's done quite a job to get 18 wins out of this club without one of his star players.
Last year, the MVP in the OVC tourney.
Teague. Foul as he went up. Well, if you're going to foul a big guy, you got to get up and do it like Damon Page just did.
Page gets his money's worth. Teague inside makes sure that there's no opportunity for the three-point play. It's a 6 foot going up against 6'10". Page got a little bounce there. He was level with Teague.
Antoine, great shot blocker, closing in on the career shot block marks. If they don't win this game, he will not have an opportunity to get up to that 130 career blocks that is the school record. But if they get out of this one and get in the NCAAs, who knows? Got both free throws, and we're tied again.
And immediately Murray State's going to go to full court pressure. 2-2-1 press now.
There's a tough spot just when you get across midcourt to meet two guys.
You got additional defenders. You got the half-court line and the sideline. That's 4-on-1. Not the wisest decision to kill it at that point on the floor. Murray State's gone to a zone now.
Beasley's three off the mark. Teague the rebound. Murray State runs it up. Moore will try a three. Rogers a rebound. Carlos been a little bit more quiet on the boards tonight than he was last night when he went 31 points, 16 rebounds. Not much quieter offensively, though. 28 points for the night. A long way to go. 10:45 left.
Brad, both teams primarily defensively a man-to-man teams. They've both gone to zones, different looks in this game.
Beasley's going to keep doing it until he gets it right. Finally buried the three. 60-57, Tigers. Teague sets a pick for Moore. Brown open for three. Got it. Nope, in and out. That one was halfway down. Comes back out. Damon Page clears it off. And we are halfway through the second half of the Ohio Valley Conference Championship here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Fred, I'll be surprised if we see Murray State play zone a whole lot longer. Their whole thing is defensive pressure. They like to attack you. This is a passive defense for their style of play. More than anything else, I think this is just a different look, but they like to really attack you defensively.
Brown came out on Page. Tough drive to the baseline. Rebound comes off to Moore. 3-on-3. William Moore wisely pulls it up. Lob underneath the tee. That one might have gone in without Antoine's intervention. I don't know.
He fumbled that shot in, but it's going to count too.
That is as good a lob as you'll ever see, because all he had to do was touch it. And as John said, actually muffed it a little bit and it still went in.
See, when you play the zone, you get relaxed defensively. You're not nearly as aggressive. And I think it also has a tendency to make you relaxed at the offensive end when you play more passive at this end than you're accustomed to playing.
Because as you said earlier, as Scott Edgar said so many times, one on the shot clock, they don't get a shot away at all. Turnover, Tennessee State, those kind. Well, that smile he had to force. As you said, their defense creates their offense. Murray State so many times. And they're not doing that right now.
Vanderbilt right across the way gets a 10-point win over Georgia to end their regular season play.
So a few blocks up the street. That might be Vandy's invitation to the tournament. Yet the SEC tourney coming up in Memphis this week. They can solidify things with a win there, I guess. Everybody wondering that right now. These two teams knowing full well that the only way to the big dance may be by winning this game. That's what makes it so important. Gums drive, baseline. Rogers got a piece of it.
Murray State, they're going back to their man-to-man now.
Tennessee State with Page, Davis, Horton, Rogers, and Beasley on the floor. Horton works for a 15-footer. Rogers kept it alive. Horton got it back and scored inside. He's been something. 16 for Tim Horton.
All right, now Murray State wants to get a good shot this trip down court. Want to get some ball movement.
Moore, he'll try a three. Rattle it off the back of the iron, an easy rebound for Carlos Rogers.
Brett, they've been most effective when they've taken the time, they've used their dribble penetration to split the zone, put pressure on the defenders, either dump it off or get that aggressive kind of penetration going to the basket.
Tennessee State's biggest lead in this game has been 5 points. They can match that if they score this trip. And we are down to 7:20 left to play. Pass tipped away by Teague. Nice defense. Here come the Racers on the run.
Well, they got the numbers.
And the foul will be inside as they try to pack it into Teague. And Beasley picks up his second. We've got a timeout. 7 minutes, 13 seconds remaining in the ball game. And Tennessee State. Ewing and Shaq prepare now for Carlos next year in the NBA. Well, he's put up some impressive numbers. There are a lot of NBA scouts here tonight and a lot of people who like the looks of this kid.
He's going to have to add a few more pounds before, before he makes a dent on the other two guys, but he's going to get an opportunity to play the next level without any doubt.
Jones has to hurry to get it into Teague. Jones over Davis. Got it. Marcus Jones was 16, 10 of them this half.
It's been nip and tuck the whole way. Neither team has been able to run away and hide from the other. And that was not the way the two meetings were earlier in the year. Murray State winning both those handily.
Rogers kicks it back out to Davis. He'll try a three. Teague has been tough on the defensive glass. Good look inside to Wilson. And a foul in the paint. We've got a lot more action coming up. Championship week continues tomorrow at noon. It's Rider and Monmouth in the Northeast Conference Championship game. And that's just the first day, as a matter of fact, tomorrow on ESPN. Here in the OVC Championship game in Nashville, under 6.5 minutes to go, 62-61. Tennessee State with a lead. Murray State can tie with this free throw, and they do.
It's been a pretty cleanly played game. Fouls have not been a factor at all for either team. A lot of offensive highlights pushing it up and down the floor.
1 point Racer lead as Jerry Wilson used every conceivable spot on that rim to get the free throw. Ball came inbounds. Davis looking for a call, saying it was stripped from him out of bounds. Instead, the loose ball. But Tennessee State comes back the other way after the missed shot, and Horton draws the foul.
That's a tough play at the other end. Davis, as you mentioned, the ball stripped, or I think he actually lost possession of it inbounds.
Back to the free throw line will go Tim Horton. Tim making his 87th start tonight, the first signee by Frankie Allen when he took over as the head coach here. And as we said, he's had to give up a little bit of his offense to be a point guard, not being a two-point guard in the sense of the word until this year. And tonight he's handled the ball extremely well. He has 16 points. 3 over his average. Tim got the second. 17 for the game. Tied again. 63-63. Can only mean it's championship week, right?
The first of many nail-biters, cliffhangers. It's a great week. We love college basketball. This is your week.
Brando and Terry Holland had one today that went right down to the wire to start off our afternoon at noontime. Tough shot inside. Rattled out from Marcus Brown. Rogers trying to get free inside. Teague fronting him nicely. Carlos way out on the baseline now with 13 on the shot clock. Going to try to do it on a spin move on his own. And he did draw the foul. He puts it on the floor pretty well, John.
6'11", he does do a nice job. Nice spin move. And basically, it's a two-man offensive force for Tennessee State. It's either Horton going one-on-one, or dumping down into Carlos Rogers.
Now he does what his mom told him. A little chat with himself at the free throw line.
He shoots a very low shot at the free throw line. It's more of a line drive, and there's not a lot of margin for error. Ideally, you want a nice rotation, some arch on that shot. If you miss it, kicks around the stage and has a chance to go in.
Talks the second one in. Mommy's doing all right from the line. 5 out of 6. Whatever you told him's working. 5:20 to go. 64-63.
Is she available for additional tutoring?
A free throw coach.
Yeah, Murray State's been most effective when they had the dribble penetration against the zone.
Tennessee State trying to come up with a steal. First jump ball situation. Possession arrow will keep it on this end. That's the first possession arrow call all night. It came with 5:06 to go. All alone for 3. Marcus Brown. 17 for Marcus. The sophomore has put his team in front by 2.
Tennessee State, they got to get everybody involved offensively. Otherwise, defensively, you start to cheat. You can start to help out and leave your man alone.
Johnson lost the handle. Gum saved it. And the Racers push it. Jones. Can Frankie Allen wait for the TV timeout? All of a sudden, Murray State has raced it out there up 4.
He needs it now.
Timeout. Tigers. Racer fans are loving it. Their team by 4 with 4:20 left. But first, we've got to tell you about tomorrow, 5 o'clock, Liberty and Campbell. The Big South Conference Championship will be decided. Part of a triple header day on championship week. MSU, the chant goes up for the Racers of Murray State. Regular season champs, 15-1. They won yesterday over Morehead State to get to this title game. And now trying to pay back Tennessee State for 3 losses last year, including in the OVC Championship that sent the Tigers to the NCAA. They've got 4 minutes left now to try to hold on to a 4-point lead.
Again, Brad, not a lot of offensive movement by Tennessee State. They look a little tired.
Teague comes up with a steal. And indeed, maybe fatigue is setting in, as John just mentioned. That Campbell game I was just talking about, folks, that is a Monday start, 5 o'clock. I wanted to square that up with the fans that'll be waiting for that one. May have hurried that shot just a little bit, Marcus Jones. And now a rebound by Rogers, who's followed by a Teague foul. And a 1-and-1 as they'll walk it down. There's the game I'm talking about. I'll get this thing straight. Liberty and Campbell, Monday, 5 o'clock. Be there or be stuck in rush hour. Which would you rather have? 3:34 left in this one.
I like that. That kind of puts it in perspective.
Championship week, stuck in your car with somebody honking at you. Let's see. Let's weigh this.
That's an easy decision.
Carlos Rogers, 29 points for the game to go with a dozen rebounds. Rattle that one in. Well, he's been some kind of star so far in this OVC tournament. I wonder who the conference tournament MVP will be. He had 31 last night. He's got 30 right now. We might be looking at him.
It's going to be hard to go against him, regardless of whether they win or lose. He has been the dominant factor, as you mentioned, throughout this tournament.
Got them both. Back-to-back nights of 31 for Carlos Rogers. The lead, 68-66. Murray State with a ball in hand. Their fans on their feet.
Now, defensively, you don't want to gamble too much if you're Tennessee State. You got plenty of time. No reason to gamble and give up an easy 2. You just play good, solid defense. Make them make the play.
Marcus Brown, tough shot off the dribble. Rebound. Horton.
Boy, Rogers is wide open. They missed him.
There, they try to get it to him. They do. And he draws the foul. A split second sooner, you're right, and that's a slam of all slams. As it is, he'll go back to the free throw line.
Well, he surprised everybody. Ordinarily, Frankie Allen's big guy is not going to be the one to sprint down and beat everybody down the court, but it is him. Horton finally picks him up, and you can see he's clearly beyond everybody. And he would have had an easy 2. And he got it just a second there quicker.
Carlos Rogers, 6'11" senior from Detroit. Transfer by way of Arkansas Little Rock. 31-point night. He's been over 20 points 39 times this year. One of 11 kids. I don't know if they can all play ball like this, but he sure can. That leaves it a 1-point Murray State lead. Under 3 minutes.
Everybody in this building on their feet.
Marcus Jones. Rebound Rogers, his 13th. Horton looking inside, might try to do it himself. Scoops it up. He'll go to the free throw line. That would have been a special looking scoop shot that would have been a 3-point play. It was halfway down and it came back out.
Well, he's really had a solid game. He's hit the big shots from the perimeter. He's been the guy that's been able to create the dribble penetration. As we mentioned earlier, he's the other Tiger player that has contributed at the offensive end with consistency throughout the evening.
Averaged 13 a game last year, 13.2 this year, and you see what he's done tonight.
And you got a guy like Rogers inside. You got to have somebody or a group from the perimeter that can consistently put pressure on the defense from outside, where you can't camp and pack 2 and 3 guys around your big guy. I
think in the free throw line, Tim has shown that the wear and tear of 3 straight games is shown on him. He's a 72% free throw shooter, only 2 for 5 from the stripe tonight. Sometimes you're a little bit tired and tight up there. He missed them both.
When you're tired, you really got to rely on your legs. Bend down a little bit further.
Yeah. Timeout, Murray State. Frankie Allen cheerleading his troops on. They trail by 1. Both with 2. Only 5 team fouls, Tennessee State, John.
I don't recall seeing a team with only 5 team fouls with 2:24 left and a half. It has been a long time since I've seen a team stay out of a single foul problem like that.
So they've got one to give. and also have the possession arrow in their favor, but they are a point short on the scoreboard right now. That'll change several more times in the remaining 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Who's going to the NCAA? Scott Edgar's Racers of Murray State or Frankie Allen's Tigers of Tennessee State? We're about 2 minutes away from finding out, barring overtime.
Interesting. There's only a 1-point differential in points off turnovers in this game. Murray State's got 22. Tennessee State with 21. Would have thought that margin would have been much greater.
Brown got around 2 defenders, but Rogers blocked the shot.
That's a big-time play. Because not only is the shot blocked, they retain possession.
And he wants it on the offensive end. He's got Teague fronting him again, and Wilson waiting to help out on a double team. 7 on the shot clock. Horton up high off the glass. Rogers got it, put it in. TSU leads by 1. Teague with a pick. Jones up high, fade away, and got it.
Tough shot that he hits.
Maybe he is the best sixth man in the country. 20 for Marcus Jones. We've got a minute left. Murray State by 1. Here's your game. Rogers, baseline.
Tough shot by Rogers. Good defense. Teague was all over him. That's just a great shot by Rogers.
36 points. Murray State now wants to talk it over.
A lot of pressure in that paint area, and that creates a lot of problems. It's a great move by Rogers. Again, pretty good defense by Antoine Teague.
Speaking of problems.
That's a big one.
Yep.
No way to stop that.
Problem.
Tough shot on the baseline, and he makes it look easy. But if you're Frankie Allen, I think you got to make up your mind that if Murray State's going to beat you, it's going to be a perimeter shot. You got to seal them off the glass.
36 points, 14 rebounds for the gentleman you're looking in on in the Tennessee State huddle. And he's 14 out of 17 from the floor. Are you kidding me?
Well, Scott Edgar knew that he was going to be problems, but I'm not sure he realized how big.
Coming up, barring overtime in 47 seconds. Gary Miller and Chris Myers will be along. Missouri undefeated in the Big 8. What a feat that is. Conference tournament updates, Pacers, Hawks highlights, the rest of the NBA, and a lot more. And guys, we'll get it to you. We think in 47 seconds, but don't count on it yet.
That's plenty of time for all kind of different endings here. The way Scott Edgar's club shoots the threes, you never know. But again, I think Murray State, you want to try to get that dribble penetration. They've been most effective when they've been attacking.
Remember the situation. Murray State won the regular season crown. They're 23-4 coming into this one. But for all practical purposes, you better win this game if you want to go to the NCAA. Don't leave it to chance or to the selection committee. They know that. So does Tennessee State. They know they've got to win this game to go to the tournament.
Tennessee State was in man-to-man defensively. And as we talked about dribble penetration, we expected it. Frankie Allen wants the call on the floor. I think they're going to give him 2 free throws. Marcus Brown off the dribble. Davis reaching in with a foul. And Brown will go to the line for 2 free throws. Tennessee State staff wanted that foul called on the floor. I think it's a good call by the officials.
Marcus 1 out of 2 tonight, but 85% on the year. Because of that stroke. Scott Edgar looking on, former assistant at Arkansas. He almost saw this kid go to Arkansas, Marcus Brown, on a track scholarship. He was a great high school high jumper. Instead goes to Murray State, has 19 tonight, and gives his team a 1-point lead. Another timeout. This one by the Tigers with 30.9 left.
Brad, Murray State surprised Tennessee State after the second free throw with quickly getting into full court pressure. They had to call a timeout because they weren't ready to break the press.
We talked about the survivor of this game goes to the NCAA tournament. Coming in, they were the #1 and #2 seeds. Tennessee State had the tougher go of it. They had to beat first Middle Tennessee State and did it at the buzzer by 1, then over Tennessee Tech last night. Murray State, meanwhile, a first-round bye and then a 104-86 win over Morehead State. And Dick Fick last night was something else.
He lived up to his reputation.
Yeah,
he was
did.
into it, and after the game, the tie was half.
Off. I mean, they can take the last shot and try to get the winner, but do you take one with about 7 seconds left and look for a rebound?
I think you want a number of different cracks at it. Ideally, you put it up with you where you've got time to go to the glass 2 or 3 times if you need to.
Especially when you got a guy like Rogers underneath. Here's that full court pressure. They get it across the timeline. They don't wait at all. Now the problem is, it's in the hands of the Racers to go for the win. 73-72.
And they're not going to call timeout. Scott Edgar has made the decision to go ahead and play it out.
Marcus Jones might be the man. He's been brilliant all game. He drives, lost the handle. Pile-up possession arrow is Tennessee State's with 1.8 left. Barring a turnover, they're going to go to the NCAA tournament for the 2nd year in a row. They call a timeout, I think, just to calm their kids down. Their fans aren't called.
Brad, you're exactly right. Carlos Rogers had sprinted the whole length of the court and was given high fives on the bench. This is not the guy you leave by yourself. The gambling creates the open alley-oop, and Rogers puts it home with authority. Again, defensively, the gamble by Murray State. Rogers is open, and he has missed almost nothing throughout the evening.
38 points and 14 rebounds. He breaks the field goal tournament record. He has 15 field goals tonight, a new record. And they didn't hand out a sheet for John and I to sign, but I think we'd have put his name on the MVP.
Go ahead and inscribe it on the trophy. It's his. But I think the key for Tennessee State is they never allowed the big run from Murray State. They never really got down where they had to abandon what they wanted to do. Brad, we talked in the beginning, if this game got out of the 70s and 80s and it got into the 90s, no way that Frankie Allen's club was going to have an opportunity. But to their credit, particularly in the second half, they did not allow the up-and-down game.
1.8 left. Long ball. Touched by Wilson. He's got to get it away. He does it. Tennessee State will not even have to leave town to party. They will have to leave town for the NCAA tournament, but they can almost walk home for the celebration. For the 2nd year in a row, Frankie Allen's Tigers go to the big dance. For Murray State, it'll be left in the hands of the selection committee as they fall to 23-5. What a game.
Huge win for Frankie Allen. 2 tough losses by large margins in the regular season to Murray State. Murray State only loses once, yet they come up 1 point short. What a win for Tennessee State.
The Tigers by a tail, 73-72 to take the OVC Championship. For John Albright and our entire ESPN crew, Brad Nessler saying so long.